Welcome to our first day of our wonderful masterclass, and I'm so privileged to have you here. I'm delighted. I've lit a candle behind us to bring in the angelic presence and to bring in the light into our hearts as we explore this beautiful aspect of ourselves. I've also brought along this beautiful little piece that I was given as a gift. It's called the Soul Sisters piece. And I bring this along because I want you to know that you're part of my soul family, that the empaths of this world are the people that I find great truth in, beauty in, and I'm proud to know you. So I hold this beautiful piece of soul sisterhood as a symbol of our soul family connection as we try to bring love and light into the world. So what is an empath? An empath is many things, but for me, empaths are these soul family that have been brought down on earth in order to be the caretakers of love and light. They're people who are finely attuned to understanding energetic frequency and can understand when things feel in sync and feel out of sync energetically, vibrationally, and at frequency level. So is it a mistake or is it something that you picked up being an empath? Well, my understanding of an empath is that 15 to 20% of people are born with this empathic trait. So it's not a flaw. It's not something you learned in your training. It's something you were born with. So 15 to 20% of people, or 2 out of 10, just to make it easy, come down and they have this very beautiful gift of being able to feel energy and to feel a oneness with the universe. And I don't believe we've ever needed more empathy on this earth. And we have never been more needed to shed our light and share our light and gift our light out to the world to keep the vibration of the world and its inhabitants in our families, in our homes and in our hearts high, so that we can enjoy the journey we're on. The truth is, you were born to be this way because the world needs people who can sense past what has been said, can care for the known and the unknown of the universe, can reach into the multiverse of the universe, and can bring in the light when needed. So each person that comes down here as an empath is different. And what I want to do is I want to break the empath down into 6 categories that I have noticed by doing intense work at retreats and on a one-to-one level as a professional reader on Soul Path with people for the last decade. Because what I have noticed and what I'm sharing with you is so many similar traits, and yet each person walks their own individual path. But subcategorized into that, there are 6 types of empaths that I genuinely think most people will identify with. But I can tell you, as you begin to evolve, you will become one with even more of the energetic frequencies and heartbeats of Mother Earth. So for me, even though there are 6 categories, I would genuinely say that 5 of those categories are now open to me as an empath, and one of them isn't. So I'm going to go through them and I'm going to share my knowledge with you, and maybe get a pen and paper handy and just write down notes. And I hope that you find yourself smiling through this, as you may identify with so much. So the first type of empath is an emotional empath. Emotional empaths are people who feel the feelings of others. So they feel the feelings of others. So they feel the emotional feelings of others. So emotional being the interesting piece. So they will usually end up in roles or positions as they develop their soul path, where they're helping people to make sense of their emotions. They're helping people to come to terms with emotional trauma or upset. So ideal roles for them at a soul path level would be that they would serve as counselors, as life coaches, as psychotherapists, psychiatrists. They would serve people maybe as chaplains in a school. And they would help people to make sense of their emotions in a real and meaningful way. One of the biggest difficulties that comes for the emotional empaths is trying to ascertain in life whose emotions are these. Are they mine or are they yours? Because until the boundaries get established, which is what we're trying to do in this program together, it can be very hard to define whose emotions you are feeling in a given circumstances on a given day. So it's beautiful work. I do so much emotional work. Reading from the soul means reading into the emotions. And I feel privileged to be able to walk with somebody through their emotions and help them to get the lift that they need, the forgiveness they need, the lightness they need again to be totally aligned to who they are. So then there are medical empaths. So what's a medical empath? A medical empath is somebody who can feel in to the physical ailments of another person. So they can sense physically what's going on for somebody else. One of the hardest things is trying to work all the clues on what is physically going on versus what's mentally going on, emotionally going on, or spiritually going on. So when you go to people who are real medical intuitives and empaths, they will do a combination of the skills, whereas the true medical empath would be somebody like the doctor. So you go to the doctor and the doctor asks you key questions, a range of key questions, and is desperately trying to work out what has gone wrong with the physical body. And they're sensing what has happened. So osteopaths would be another very good example of somebody who is trying to work out what is skeletally wrong with you. Chiropractors, people who are medical empaths who can just know that if I tweak this slightly, then that's going to go back into place. Yes, they have got their medical training and they understand anatomy and physiology, but the gifted ones will be people who have an intuitive knowing and will be able to read into the energy and realize that there's something energetically misaligned here, and my job is to bring this back into alignment. We then have the spaces and the places empaths. And the spaces and the places empaths are people who are sensitive to geopathic stress, people who are sensitive to the energy in the room, people who are sensitive to objects, to the earth and its alignment, to the grid lines of Mother Earth. So I'm just going to slow this down so that I can take you through it. So let's start with the energy in a room, because I think this is something you will identify with. There are people who come into a room and they go, oh my God, the energy in here is really heavy. Or they'll come into a room and say, oh my God, I feel like someone died in here. Or they'll come into a room and say, oh my God, the atmosphere is amazing. It's electric. But the really gifted ones will be able to read into the room and know and follow what's the energy saying in this room? What is the flow of energy like in this room? So people who are fantastic as space and place empaths will be people who will go on to develop feng shui and knowing where to put objects in the house, where to attract in abundance, where to attract in the energetic flow and frequency of the room. They're finely tuned to the energetic frequency in the air. They're finely tuned to the energetic heartbeat of a building. And years ago, they would have been brought in to bring in sacred sound, to know where to place the sound in big churches and temples and buildings. And sometimes people go into beautiful buildings now, like maybe Google, and they say this building is heartless because there's been no attunement put into that building. So though it's an ornate building that's absolutely beautiful, they cannot feel any energetic resonance going through the building. And this was something that was known of old, how to have energy and ley lines in the right places to have the right vortexes of energy moving. So say if you go to Glastonbury, you have 3 ley lines going through Glastonbury, and you will feel nuances of energy. You'll feel very quick manifestation. You'll feel heaviness and a lightness through the ley lines, and it's actually palpable for anyone who's a space or place empath, where they actually will feel what it feels like under the Thor at the top of the Glastonbury. It's quite amazing, and we need the spaces and places empaths to help us to really feel into the ley lines, which are like the motorways of energy that go through and under Mother Earth. And these are grid lines, and they say that as the fall of Atlantis, the crystals of Atlantis were placed strategically around the world. And as we're ascending, many of those crystals are being invoked again. They're being called upon again and lit up again. And we are getting this surge of energy that is shifting us into a higher consciousness. And it's the crystals in the ley lines of Mother Earth that are doing that. So people who come out to do a house clearing, shamans who may come out to do a house clearing, they're following the ley lines. People who do the divination on the land, they're following the ley lines. They understand what is the flow and what way should energy flow through your house, your home, your yard, your farm, and what could be blocking the ley line flow, which is then blocking the energy into the building, into your life, into your home, and into your physical body. So they're very, very important people. Then we have the plant empaths. And the plant empaths are people who identify with the feelings and the emotions of the plant. They are sacred, and they are people who really believe in keeping Mother Earth buoyant, fed, nurtured, nourished, minded, and taken care of as we walk through our own pathway. So they will tend to go on to be the gardeners, the botanists. They will tend to be people who will want to study herbalism, or they'll want to study things like preparing Bach essence remedies. And they will become very attuned to what is needed and by a person that the plant can give them. So they will have this fascination with plants. I had the honour of speaking to a man who was 93 in Australia. His name was Philip, and he had been a plant empath his whole life. And I had a glorious chat with him where he told me that the plants and the trees speak to him. They actually speak to him daily. And he said, you'll always know what a plant needs, because he said, watch its drooping head. Is it drooping down looking for water? Is it facing towards the sun? And then he said to me, he said, you know, the trees are so special. He said, it's like they're always praying because their arms are stretched up to the light and up towards God. And I'll never forget him. He gave me such an appreciation. And I've spoken to other plant empaths who've charmed me because it's the one I'm not. I'm not a plant empath. And they're the ones that have the green fingers, right? So it's like a healing of the green fingers. And they know where to place plants and they know what to do with plants. But also they mourn when a tree is being chopped down. They mourn deeply and they feel it physically in their heart. They mourn deeply when forests are burnt, and this can put them into a feeling of lowness for days. And usually no one empathizes with them. They say, yes, the poor forest, we shouldn't be doing this. But they feel it at a soul level. And the ecology of this earth is precious to them. So there will be people who we need on this earth to ensure that the climate is not damaging or being damaged by the inhabitants of this earth. So at the moment, there are more and more children being called in at an empathic level who are here to hold the placards and to guard and guide the way forward for people to honour Mother Earth and to be those plant empaths who really know and revere the beauty that plants bring to this earth, the importance that plants are on this earth to keep us energetically aligned, energetically in our own well-being, and to continue to hold the vibration of Mother Earth as they do in a real and meaningful way. The next one is intuitive empaths. I love the intuitive empaths. I'm one myself. And for me, I do it through reflexology. So once I'm with somebody and I am feeling into the body, all of the messages come through. So when I hold the soles of the feet, it's like a whole soul. But intuitive empaths don't have to hold your physical body in order to read you. So I would use the skill once again during my Akashic record readings when I'm intuitively reading into the soul of another. So the information is coming down intuitively. So it's like there's a vibration that's held. And note, when we're dealing with energy, we don't always get words. So when I was asking Philip about the plants, he was saying to me, sometimes I hear them speak, but most of the time I just know. So that would be someone who's claircognizant for energy and has that intuitive knowing. But we also have the intuitive empaths who just sit with you, and in that they know. So they're like the lie detectors. They can tell so much about what's going on by being with you. And some of them are intuitive readers of the body, where they get nearly like an MRI image of what's going on at a frequency flow in the body. I know my son can do this and it's amazing. He sees where the grey parts are in the body from the youngest age, and he can see where there's misalignment in the body. Caroline Mills would be one of the most famous medical intuitives that we have. We had Edgar Casey, of course, who was the sleeping prophet, who people just went to him as he went into his subconscious, into the soul, to connect with the soul and speak, he would bring forth what was needed for the healings. And it was incredible. I often feel like that's what happens when I scribe with the pen, because they will often give information from on high on what is the dis-ease that's going on in the cells of the body. And that is an intuitive empath who intuitively knows for no reason that can be qualified, quantified, or anything, factually substantiated, but will gift a message that resonates so deeply with the person that they're reading for, that it's the person they're reading for knows this resonates as truth, and it ignites a healing, and it allows great knowledge to be given to another person as to what they need. So people who are intuitive empaths will often be the card readers. They will become the medical intuitives. They will become the detectives, where we need to know what's resonating as the truth and what's not resonating with it as the truth. So say there's a murder crime scene. A lot of the time somebody will bring a physical object to an intuitive empath and say, can you read this? And can you tell me where this person may be? And they will have to put all their skills together and know, as they feel into this, what is the knowing that's coming forth from them and for them. And of course, for me, all of this is gifted through source. It's not like it's through us as the instrument and we are the vessel, but that beautiful magic is given to you because of your connection with source. So in these 7 days, I hope that you feel the strengthening of those so that you can feel even more deeply a knowing, a resonance, a trust within yourself, and an ability to really walk as the empath that you were made. It's your God-given talent, so that you can bring out empathy to the world and you can sympathize with people. One of the greatest things in that knowing field is sometimes I have read for people who don't want to talk about what's happened to them. They don't want to discuss it. They hope you can see it. They hope you can feel it. They hope you can know it without their explanation. But I've seen something magical happen when what's happened to them is substantiated, and they can literally then say, yes, Juliana, that did happen to me, and oh my God, it's been so crushing. And the conversation starts, and this can be a conversation that has laid dormant and stuck within them for the longest time. And as they get a voice through the presence of your presence, magic occurs, great healing occurs, great empathy is shown for mothers who have had miscarriages, people who have lost people who are very dear to them, people who have lost their way, people who are feeling shame, who are feeling guilt, people who have had abortions, people who have done something that they feel so bad about they can tell nobody. And often an intuitive will come in and just help to nurse them through what's going on for them and bring in great healing. So it's an honor and a privilege, and it is something that releases people, heals people, and sends them back into the love and light that we're trying to spread. The last one is the animal empath, and the animal empaths are fascinating. They are people who feel so deeply for animals, they can feel their pain. They can feel what an animal needs. So they're like the Dr. Doolittles of the world. They actually can feel, what is it that this person actually needs? How can I gift this to somebody? How would I be able to help this dog, cat, horse to heal? And how can I make the world a better place for this animal? And how can I bring out the best in this animal by understanding its own unique personality and traits and working about it in nurturing this? I have often found that people who have been bruised in their childhood and are maybe wounded empaths often are so scarred in trust of humans that they spend a lifetime giving their services, giving their grace, giving their love, giving their healing, giving their financial support to animals rather than humans, because they feel deeply that animals are more worthy of their love than humans. This always concerns me, because I know the value of the animal empath and how sacred it is to have that gift of connection with this absolute pouring forth of love and light. But I do think that it's important that that be healed within somebody so that they can begin to trust human as well as animal in equal measures, because I do believe that all God's creatures got a place in the choir, and I do believe that it's actually important to be able to really know that the trust that you feel in animals can be magnified within you, and the love that animals give us unconditionally, which is absolutely amazing. I know it, my own dog can actually be gifted into us so that we learn to love again, to trust again, and to gift to human beings as well as animals all that we have to give. So a great use of people's empathic trait would be a vet. So the vet is looking at the physical parts of the animal, but also will be working on their intuition highly and their empathy skills highly, so that they can sense what's going on. And as we know, there's some more empathic vets than others. You will have people who work as nurses for those vets. You will have people who work in donkey sanctuaries, people who help out in lost animal shelters, people who spend their time with dogs who are working with children with special needs, may take into their home blind dogs, because they know that if they nurture the true nature of this dog that's in their home, what actually will happen in time is that that dog will go on and be the light of the world for the people who are visually impaired and need this. So isn't it beautiful? Isn't it wonderful? I bet as you're listening here today, you will be identifying with so many of these different traits. And the reality is you don't need to get bogged down in exactly what you are. You need to just become awakened and aware to the amazingness of what you have and how it actually, in its own sweet way, can heal the world.